if you're learning Arabic, most likely you had it drilled into you in the early lessons that there should always be gender agreement in Arabic. If you're using a feminine noun, you should use a feminine verb before it. If you're using a feminine noun, you should always use feminine adjectives after it. And this is absolutely correct for the vast majority of Arabic. And it makes sense that you learn that as a rule before you learn exceptions. But today is a day that some of my students have come across an exception. So I'd like to talk to you about it, inshallah, and give you some examples of it from the Quran as well. So, there's actually some ayat when Allah uses a feminine singular verb before a group of humans. And the one that my students have come across most regularly is what Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ لَيْسَتِ النَّصَارَى عَلَى شَيْءٍ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى لَيْسَتِ الْيَهُودُ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. That the Jews say about the Christians, they're not ala shay, they're not upon a thing, right? And that the Christians say about the Jews that they are not upon a thing either, right? They say the same thing about each other. But why do we have layset, the feminine version of the verb laysa, when we're talking about the Jews and the Christians? Shouldn't we say laysu? Shouldn't we use a plural if we're talking about a group of humans, right? Well, the fact is in Arabic there are just some groups of humans, and then off the top of my head they're always from the Jam' taksir, they're always broken plurals, which we treat as feminine singular in terms of when we use verbs before them. So that's one example. But are we saying that the Jews and the Christians are somehow girly in some way? No, that's not it, right? Because there's examples of when Allah uses many groups of men like this, including, for example, Ar-Rum, the Romans. There's a surah of the Quran called Surah Ar-Rum, where the second ayah of it begins Alif Lam Mim and then moves on to Ghulibat Ar-Rum. Ghulibat is a passive verb, by the way, hence the u'i'a, ghuliba. Ghulibat Ar-Rum. The Romans have been defeated, right, using a feminine singular verb before it. As well, we see in Surah Al-Hujurat, when Allah talks about the desert Arabs, the Bedouins, He says, قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. That the desert Arabs, or the Bedouins, have said, we believe, with the verb qalat, before using a feminine singular verb. So this is fairly common throughout the Quran, and it's used with groups of men. Or group, I mean, when they say the Jews and the Christians, it could be could be men and women as well, or with any of those groups, actually. It could be with Ar-Rum and with Al-A'rab, there could be women in and amongst them as well. But regardless, these are some examples of groups of humans, and we use a feminine singular verb before them, although not after them. You'll notice with the example with Surah Al-Baqarah, the ayah that comes, the part that comes later in that ayah is وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ, not وَهِيَ تَتْلُو الْكِتَابِ. وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ. There's a plural verb in the kind of gender and number which we would expect of describing a Nasara wal Yahud afterwards. It's only the case that we use these feminine singular verbs before them.